Most jazz guitarists learn standards in whatever order they happen to encounter them. Somebody calls a tune at a jam, your favorite YouTube teacher recommends one, or you hear a recording you love and decide to learn it. And even among jazz teachers, there's a lot of disagreement about where a beginner should start. For example, some would tell you to skip modal tunes and get into traditional chord changes or 2-5-1s right away. I came to almost the opposite conclusion. Back in 2020, I sat down and analyzed 101 of the top jazz standards manually, chord by chord and progression by progression, long before AI, because I wanted to answer one question. What's the smallest possible step from one tune to the next for a student? And the sequence that came out of that starts with modal tunes, then blues, and only gradually introduces things like major and minor 2-5-1s, one concept at a time. And here's one reason I think that really matters. If you start with a tune like Autumn Leaves, it can create one of the exact problems that a lot of beginning improvisers struggle with later, which is trying to play by thinking through scales and chord changes instead of actually hearing language and developing vocabulary. I recently taught this whole system in a live workshop, and afterward, a new member, Corey, described it as a methodical and logical system for learning tunes. Dan agreed, saying one of his biggest takeaways was finally understanding the logic for the sequence of tunes. So I'm going to show you that logic, how much new harmony I think a new tune should introduce, why I start with modal tunes, where a tune like Autumn Leaves actually belongs, and why eventually even the number of chords stops telling you how difficult a tune really is. All right, so these are the main sort of questions I get around repertoire. What tune should I learn next? You've learned something and you aren't sure what to pick and you kind of get stuck there. Or you just pick by something someone recommends. Either way. What do you actually do with the tune once you have maybe learned the melody? Again, like I said, there's so many things we could practice. You don't know what order to learn these in, which ones are important. Is this advice for a beginner or an advanced player? Which ones to skip altogether? And then how do you know when you've actually mastered the tune or when you're done with that tune and should move on? So what does mastery look like? I'll give you 5 things within 5 different domains so that you know, like, you've mastered the tune, you can move on at the level that you are currently at. All right, so the 2 sort of ways I see people getting stuck here with repertoire, if they struggle with repertoire. The first one is, I call them the collector, where they know a bunch of tunes, but not really at any sort of mastered level. They haven't really gotten any to the finish line or this mastery point. Maybe they know the melodies of them or some of the chords, just like a little bit of a lot of tunes. And that causes a lot of issues if, someone wants to play a tune with you and you're like, well, I kind of know the chords, but I don't know the melody. I know the melody, but I don't know the chords. I can't improvise. And so you feel like you can't actually make use of the repertoire that you know, right? So you can play many tunes, but master of none. We need to have sort of a standard for the skills required to mastering. So that's the first one, the collector. The other kind of person is the perfectionist, and maybe we have a few of these here as well, where they've been working on a single tune or a couple of tunes for a long time, and they just keep working on that tune, when really what they should do is move on to other tunes. So you kind of have to see for yourself based on your personality and what you've been doing lately, whether you fall into either of these categories. If you have more tendency to kind of stay with one tune for too long or kind of just collect tunes. So we need to also know, when can we say this tune is done, let's move on. Again, there's so much, one of the benefits of learning music is that it's never ending process, right? So that can be its own challenge, knowing when we should move on and where there's more growth from just learning a new tune. Okay, so let's talk about this first part, what I call the Master Standards Blueprint, deciding on what tune. Even if you're not a true beginner of jazz, hopefully the way I'm thinking about this is helpful to you in figuring out the next tune that is right for you. And I can also help you with that as well if you have questions of that on the end, if you're not starting within my sort of set sequence. So one thing that's always bothered me with, I guess, jazz education or tune learning is many people or educators treat it sort of like a popularity contest of like, this tune you should learn because it's popular, instead of thinking about it how I think about it, from a curriculum perspective, or similar to learning math, where there's organizing the information in such a way where you're learning the easier stuff first and the harder stuff later, and then having that sequence so that when someone's learning something, they can smoothly move from step 1 to, say, step 99. And this is something that I always struggled with, and I never had good teachers for that, even though they are good in different ways. I would be presented, like I remember in music camp, we would get this, I was like 12 at the time, and we would get someone would put like a standard, like say Autumn Leaves, and then the next week we would have to learn Good Bait, and then the next week it was Star Eyes, and the next week it was an original tune that Ira Sullivan had wrote that had, changes that he kind of came up with and made no sense to standard harmony. So it was like every single week was something that didn't build on the previous week. And the problem with that whole situation is you end up just doing anything possible to not sound bad. And so it's a really bad mindset to have in trying to develop as an improviser, because the only thing you can really latch onto is, what are the scales that go with this? I'll just play those. That'll give me the right notes, and maybe I won't sound like I'm playing wrong notes. But it doesn't go well. I had a really bad experience where we were performing like at the end of the camp for that. I forget what the standard was. It was a really hard like vocal standard that we were playing, and I had a solo there, and I had no idea what to do because it was chords every measure or every 2 measures. And so I was just playing based on scale, and basically I got lost midway through that, and I just kept going because I had no idea how to get out of it. And Ira, being like the musician that he is, he was just like, oh, Chase is into it and he's just going to take another chorus. And I'm like, no, I am completely lost. Someone please save me. Until I basically just had to stop. And then from that point, someone came in. I don't even remember. I probably blacked out. Someone came in to take over the solo. So we don't want to be in that situation. I don't want you guys to be in that situation. And so that's this process that I'm trying to lay out, the order of these tunes. So the first one, when you learn these by, say, taste or popularity, each tune you learn can have a really big jump in the knowledge that's required to play that tune, right? So it might be technical. It might be like, okay, if you're going from Autumn Leaves to Donna Lee, you can't play it that fast yet. So it might be like a physical thing that you're not able to do. It might just be the amount of information required. So if you're going from Autumn Leaves to another tune, say Giant Steps, you might not have played over B major 7 before. You don't know that key that well. There's just so many other things that you have to understand and put together before it makes sense to do that. So what happens is the jump from each one tune to the next can be a lot of information, and then maybe you go to another tune, and then that tune doesn't use anything that you learned from the previous one. So you don't get the review either. So when we do this in this way, and most of the traditional advice of this standard and that standard done by popularity, it has this effect, because the tunes that get recommended don't necessarily follow the previous ones. They're different keys. They don't have as much connection between them, right? So it's the jump from one tune to the next, but it's also the progress and the review of the stuff you've already learned so that we can master it. So instead of that, I was trying to figure out how can we sequence this so that jump from one tune to the next is more stepwise. And I tried to figure out how can we do this so that there's never more than the minimum amount of new harmonic information necessary, and never more than one new concept or skill. So we're just trying to focus on, if I'm learning this tune for the first time, there should be, or I would hope, like when I was first mapping this out, this was sort of my goal to see if it was possible. One new skill I need to learn. Maybe it's just 2-5-1. What is that? Or it's this has diminished chord, but everything else in that tune I already have tackled. So one new concept or skill, and then the last part, always building from the tunes that came before, so you get that review. Because review is super important when we're learning anything. If we don't have that kind of review, we just forget stuff. And you guys have probably experienced this with learning tunes, and then you don't remember some. So you've learned it before, but none of that progress has stayed with you. That's really unmotivating. So back in 2020 during COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands since there weren't any gigs. And so I manually analyzed 101 jazz standards with all the chords, and then tried to organize them in a way that would hopefully solve this, so that each of those, what are the minimum number of new chords needed for one tune to the next, and what concepts and skills. This is before AI. I was doing it and trying to figure out what is that minimum step each student would have to take. And really what it came down to is just 3 new chords is the minimum. You can't go, because of the blues, basically, because any blues that we start with has 3 dominant chords. That's really the main starting point for new chords once we've gotten through the first bit of modal tunes. And I'll also talk about why I start with modal tunes. So this is a sequence in Master Standards Blueprint: modal, blues, 2-5-1, and then Latin, but really minor 2-5-1. And I'll explain why in this second. So with So What, we start with 2 chords. And from there, we can do milestones. Each of these underneath this, it's the sort of the concept that would be focused on. Milestones also has 2 chords. Little Sunflower, you get a major 7 chord, 2 new chords. Cantaloupe Island, your first dominant chord, 2 new chords. And then Maiden Voyage, 3 new chords. And this has the relationship between minor and dominant, how those chords are related, because we have sus chords. After that, Blue Monk. And so this jump necessarily, whenever you're going even from modal to blues, you have to get 3 new chords. So Blue Monk, 12-bar blues, 16-bar blues, blues elements here. At Song for My Father, you actually already know the chords from before, so this acts as a sort of review. Mr. PC is a minor blues. Take the A Train for your first 2-5. Perdido for cycle of dominance. Tune Up for multiple 2-5s in different keys. Pentapouse for long 2-5s in a sequence, like a 3-6-2-5 or similar sort of effect. And then Blue Bossa for your first minor 2-5. Okay, so another way to look at this, we'll kind of dig in just to the first 4 so you can really understand this if you're not familiar with these tunes. In So What, we have D minor 7, E flat minor 7. And then in Milestones, G minor 7, A minor 7. So you get a review of the fact that we've already been working on the sound of minor. And when you do it in this way, the student just has to focus on one tonality, one kind of sound. And they can really just focus on understanding D minor 7, minor 7 chord as a whole. Then they get review of that, but with something new. In this case, some new keys. So G minor, A minor 7, and new movements. Instead of a half step, we have the whole step. Okay, so, but still minor. Then moving to Little Sunflower, we already know one of the chords, one of the 3, D minor 7, and we get D major and E flat major, which is really cool because we've already done D minor and E flat minor, and so now we get that movement, but major. So there's some familiarity, but it has that twist of now it's major. So now the student is really understanding the difference between a major sound versus the minor sound and can see those shapes. And we're just focused on that. Same with Cantaloupe Island. They already know D minor, and F minor and D flat 7 are new. And there's a connection between F minor and D flat 7 as well that we won't get into today that makes that simpler. So each of the ways we want to add a couple new things and then have that review from the previous. On a slightly bigger picture side, the reason I start with modal as this first phase is we're focused on minor. Then when we do blues, the focus is dominant 7 chords. So we're getting like the 2 sound if we're thinking of like, okay, 2-5-1s is important for jazz. How do we play over 2-5-1s? Well, in my mind, you should be able to play over a 2 chord, the minor, be able to play over the 5 chord, a dominant, and then we can start to think, how do you play those connecting each other, 2-5-1? It doesn't really make much sense to me to start with 2-5-1 when the student doesn't really know what to do over the 2 chord, doesn't really know what to do over the 5 chord, or even the 1 chord, let alone connecting from 2 to 5 to 1. That's just too many things to do. And what ends up happening, or at least what happened to me, is you just kind of play a scale and just hope for the best. But you're not really addressing the progression. So I think it's much better to actually first have vocab over minor, have vocab over dominant, then we can start approaching the idea of a 2-5-1, the dynamic nature of it. So starting with major 2/5s, and then after major 2/5s, minor 2/5s. So you want to do first some tunes that don't even have minor 2/5s, because that introduces its own sort of set of skills and problems. So that's how I think about these bigger phases. So whatever phase you're at, I would at least encourage you to think about it in that way. Like for any progression, before you can play that progression itself, make sure you know how to play over each of those chords individually before trying to connect one to the next. All right. So within Master Standards Blueprint, I have these all laid out in sort of volumes to keep it succinct. And in the fall, we'll do another set of tunes that I'm calling Jam Essentials Volume 1. One of the critiques that I get for this, people will talk about, the chords, the number of chords isn't important. And it's not really about the number of chords as much as it is harmonic information. So if we have new harmonic information, that's new voicings that we may or may not know or understand what chords are in that key, vocab to play over those chords or over that sound, whether it's melodic minor, harmonic minor, major, different modes, etc. So the chords are acting as this proxy of the amount of new harmonic information that we should understand and have mastered. It's not really about specific chords. And around tune number 30, it's about tune number 30, we actually don't get many new chords when we add new songs. It's like once you get to tune 30 and have known 30 tunes in this order, you basically know almost all of the chords you'll see in future jazz tunes because they use similar keys and there's a lot of repeated progressions. So after that point, the prerequisite skill or the thing you need to know for any harder tune starts to become more about the tempo of the tune, like physical ways of playing it, how many key centers are in that tune. So a lot of these harder tunes modulate to many different key centers, or they modulate in non-standard ways. So not just a 2-5-1 or 3-6-2-5-1. If you played any Wayne Shorter tunes, Benny Golson tunes, there's different movements that the chords do that you're not used to. And so those have their own challenges. One way to sort of illustrate this is just comparing two different tunes, Autumn Leaves and Giant Steps. So if we were doing this strictly based on chords, we would actually learn Giant Steps before Autumn Leaves, because Giant Steps has 9 chords and Autumn Leaves has 10 chords. But obviously that doesn't really make sense if you're familiar with either of these tunes. Giant Steps in many ways is harder to play than Autumn Leaves. Part of this is because Autumn Leaves really has one key center, or one key of, you call it B flat major and G minor. And Giant Steps, we have 3 different key centers. Not to mention the tempo is much faster usually for Giant Steps. The chords are moving faster, the harmonic rhythm's faster. And in Autumn Leaves, the 2/5s resolve in expected ways. And Giant Steps, the keys move major thirds apart in ways that we're not used to playing, right? So it's more than just thinking about the specific number of chords. That is what the main focus is early on because it's new harmonic information. From there, we get into these other factors that are much more important for making a tune more difficult. So as you can see, the goal isn't really to find a list of increasingly famous or increasingly difficult standards. It's to choose a tune that lets you reuse and review most of what you already know while adding just enough new material to keep moving forward. But that creates another question. Once you've picked the right tune, how do you know when you've actually learned it well enough to move on? How do you know you've mastered it? Well, that's exactly what I'm covering in next week's video. I've got a 5-level system that lets you know exactly what to do to master a tune and when to move on to the next one. So subscribe if you don't want to miss that, and I'll see you next week. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, drop a comment if you have something to say about this one. Thanks guys, I'll see you in the next one.